It didn't shatter you when she said no. It shattered you when your body reacted before your mind could catch up. That's the part that still sits heavy. You don't remember her exact words anymore, and that confuses you because words are supposed to matter. But they didn't. What stayed with you was the silence after them. That pause that lasted just a second too long. Long enough for your chest to tighten. Long enough for your breathing to change. Long enough for something inside you to realize the damage before you were ready to name it. Your thoughts didn't move toward acceptance. They ran toward meaning. You replayed the moment over and over, searching for something you missed, a signal you failed to read, a reason that could make the pain make sense, because pain without meaning feels unbearable. And this pain didn't feel small. It felt personal, exposing, like something essential had just been pulled out of you. Here's the truth most men never hear spoken clearly. Romantic rejection isn't just emotional. Your brain doesn't process it as a simple no. It processes it as loss, as threat, as if something tied to your survival just disappeared. That's why it feels humiliating in a way you can't fully explain. That's why your body reacts before logic has a chance to step in. Your nervous system isn't overreacting. It's doing exactly what it was built to do. For most of human history, rejection didn't mean disappointment. It meant danger. Being pushed out of the tribe meant no protection, no future. That ancient wiring is still alive inside you. And until you understand what rejection actually does to your brain, it will keep feeling like a crisis, even when your mind tells you it shouldn't. Why rejection? Hurts like a physical injury. What happens next always surprises men, even the strong ones, because the pain doesn't stay in your head. It moves straight into your body. Your chest feels heavy. Your stomach tightens. Your breathing gets shallow without you telling it to. And you start wondering why something emotional feels so physical. The truth is simple, even if it's uncomfortable to hear. Your brain doesn't know the difference. When rejection hits, the same parts of your brain light up as when you touch fire or break a bone. Not symbolically, literally. Your nervous system sends out one clear message. Something is wrong, and you are not safe. That's why the pain feels sharp and real instead of vague or distant. Your body believes you've been injured, even if there's no visible wound to point at. Here's where men usually misunderstand themselves. You think the pain is about her choice, about not being wanted. But that's not what your body hears in that moment. What it hears is exclusion, being pushed out of connection, being removed from belonging. On a biological level, that has always meant vulnerability, exposure, danger. For most of human history, being rejected wasn't uncomfortable. It was deadly. No tribe meant no protection. No protection meant you didn't last long. That ancient system never shut off. It's still running quietly underneath your modern life, still scanning for signs that you're losing your place. That's why your body reacts before your thoughts do. Logic tries to calm you down later, but biology already pulled the alarm. And once you see that clearly, you stop calling yourself weak for feeling it. You realize your nervous system wasn't betraying you. It was doing exactly what it learned to do a long time ago. Why your mind obsessively replays the moment. After the initial hit settles into your body, something else takes over. Your mind doesn't go quiet. It speeds up. It starts running the moment back like it's footage from a crime scene, pausing on every word, every look, every second of silence. You ask yourself what you said wrong, what you missed, what someone else might have that you don't. It feels like reflection, but it isn't. It's panic wearing a familiar mask. Your mind isn't searching for truth, it's searching for control. Rejection feels dangerous because it came without warning, and the brain hates anything it can't predict. So it starts tearing the moment apart, hoping to find a flaw it can label and fix, because if there's a reason, then maybe it won't happen again. Maybe next time you can protect yourself. That's why the replay feels compulsive. You don't choose it, it chooses you. Late at night, when things slow down, the scene comes back on its own. Your brain loops it, not because it enjoys the pain, but because it believes understanding will make you safe. Closure feels necessary, because your nervous system thinks answers equal survival. This is where men get trapped. You start believing that if you just knew why, the pain would stop. So you're tempted to reach out, to ask for clarity, to reopen a door that already closed. But your mind isn't asking for truth, it's asking for relief. And the more you chase explanations from the person who rejected you, the more you teach your nervous system that rejection means obsession, urgency, and loss of control. Once you see that, something shifts. You stop turning the pain inward. You stop letting the moment define you, not because it didn't hurt, but because you finally understand what your mind was really doing all along. The chemical crash behind the obsession. What most men don't realize is that the pain doesn't deepen by accident. It deepens because something inside you suddenly goes quiet. Before the rejection, your brain was being fed in small, steady doses. Every thought about her, every possibility you imagined, released dopamine. Not pleasure, anticipation, hope, forward motion. It was the fuel that kept you leaning in without even noticing. Dopamine doesn't make you feel good. It makes you want. It trains your mind to expect something just ahead. And without realizing it, your nervous system tied that reward to her attention, her interest, her potential choice. She became the signal that something good was coming. Then the rejection landed, and the signal disappeared instantly. No warning, no easing out. One moment the system was active, the next it was silent. Your brain didn't register disappointment. It registered deprivation. That's why the emptiness felt sudden and heavy, like something collapsed overnight. This is where anxiety creeps in. Not because you miss her, but because your brain is scrambling to restore what it just lost. Obsessive thoughts aren't romance at this point. They're withdrawal. Your phone feels heavier in your hand. An urge rises to reach out, to explain, to do something. Not because you believe it will work, but because your nervous system wants relief. That's the trap. You think you're reacting to emotion, but you're responding to chemistry. Rejection isn't just losing her, it's your reward system going dark. And until you understand that, you'll keep confusing neurological withdrawal with meaning, connection, and fate. When rejection becomes an identity wound, this is where the pain changes shape. It stops feeling like something that happened to you and starts feeling like something about you. Men don't just want connection for comfort. On a deeper level, they want confirmation. Proof that they measure up. Proof that when they step forward, they belong. So when rejection lands, it doesn't sound like, "This didn't work out." It sounds like a quiet judgment you never agreed to take. Your mind doesn't ask whether she was right for you. It asks what this says about your value. And once that question settles in, the wound turns inward. Doubts that used to be background noise suddenly feel loud and justified. Old insecurities start lining up like witnesses, ready to testify. Not because they're true, but because rejection makes them feel official. This is why rejection hits men differently. It doesn't just bruise the heart, it interrogates identity. And there's very little space for men to talk about that honestly. You're taught to keep it together, to act unfazed, to move on fast. So the pain has nowhere to go. It doesn't get expressed, it gets absorbed. When that happens, grief turns into self-criticism. Sadness turns into distance. And what looks like emotional strength from the outside is often just shut down on the inside. Not because you don't feel deeply, but because you were never taught how to let it move through you. That's the quiet damage of rejection. It doesn't just hurt in the moment. It starts rewriting how you see yourself if you don't catch it in time. Why chasing feels inevitable after rejection. After rejection, something dangerous happens quietly inside you. Your brain doesn't just hurt. It starts looking for a way out. And instinctively, it looks in the one place it shouldn't. Back at the person who caused the pain. Not because it's logical, but because your nervous system believes the threat and the relief came from the same source. That's why the urge to reach out feels urgent, almost physical. You tell yourself you just want clarity, just one honest conversation, just a clean ending. But underneath that story is something simpler and harder to admit. Your system wants the alarm to stop. It believes one reply, one explanation, One sign of openness might calm everything down. Men don't chase because they're weak. They chase because their nervous system is trying to survive the shock. Contact feels like relief. Distance feels like danger. And in that state, dignity doesn't feel important. Regulation does. So you type messages you wouldn't normally send. You explain things that didn't need explaining. You lean forward when everything inside you is already off balance. But biology plays a cruel trick here. Chasing doesn't bring safety back. It reinforces the loss of it. Every unanswered message quietly lowers your sense of control. Every delayed response makes you feel smaller than before. Without realizing it, you start teaching your nervous system that rejection equals panic and pursuit. This is where the real damage happens. Not in the rejection itself, but in how you respond to it. Because the brain remembers these moments. And the next time you consider stepping forward, your body hesitates. Not out of wisdom, but out of fear learned the hard way. What rejection is really revealing about you? This is the moment where rejection stops being about her and starts telling the truth about you. Not in a cruel way, in a clean way. Rejection isn't a verdict on your worth. It's a signal. It shows you where something inside you was still leaning outward, still waiting to be chosen in order to feel solid. The pain didn't come only from her decision. It came from what that decision exposed. The places where interest quietly turned into validation, where attachment slipped into dependency, where your sense of value rested, even slightly, on someone else's response. That's not a character flaw. It's a blind spot. And rejection has a way of lighting those up fast. A grounded man still feels rejection. He just isn't dismantled by it. Not because he doesn't care, but because his worth isn't on the table. It isn't negotiated through attention or withdrawn through silence. When rejection shakes you to the core, it's not proof that you lost something important. It's proof that something inside you was still up for approval. That realization changes the meaning of the pain. It stops being something to escape and becomes something to study. A mirror instead of a sentence. Information instead of identity. And once you see it that way, rejection loses its power to define you. It can still sting. It just doesn't own you anymore. Why time alone doesn't heal for Rejection. Rejection. Most men are told the same thing when rejection cuts deep. Give it time. Stay busy. Let it fade. And on the surface, it sounds right. The intensity does soften. The edge dulls. But something underneath often stays untouched. Because time doesn't actually heal what the nervous system never understood. If you don't see what rejection did inside you, time just teaches you how to avoid feeling it. You distract yourself. You stay occupied. You tell yourself it didn't matter as much as it felt. But the reaction gets stored, not resolved. Your body remembers the threat even when your mind has moved on. That's why rejection can still shape you long after the moment passes. You hesitate more. You hold back a little. You keep part of yourself guarded without realizing why. Not because you're wiser, but because your nervous system learned that stepping forward once led to pain. What actually changes things isn't waiting, it's understanding. When you see how rejection triggered threat, withdrawal, and identity doubt, the pain stops feeling mysterious. And when pain loses mystery, it loses control. Your mind stops looping because it no longer believes your safety depends on answers. This is where real stability forms. Not through positive thinking or forcing confidence, but through clarity. When rejection is no longer fused to your worth, it passes through instead of settling in. You feel it, you register it, and then your system lets it go. That's not numbness, that's integration. The choice rejection leaves you with, at the surface it looks simple. One woman rejected you, a closed door, a moment that didn't go your way. But underneath that moment, something much more important happened. Your brain reacted as if you were in danger. Not because she was special, but because part of your sense of self was tied to being chosen. And when that choice didn't come, the structure holding that belief cracked. Rejection didn't create the wound. It exposed it. It revealed the exact place where your value felt negotiable, where your identity leaned outward instead of standing on its own. The spiral, the panic, the urge to fix it. None of that was about love collapsing. It was about an internal foundation failing under pressure. Most men don't want to look at that. They numb it, bury it, distract themselves until the discomfort fades. But the men who grow steadier do something different. They study the reaction. They trace it back to where approval replaced grounding, where desire quietly became dependency, where self-trust was outsourced. That's where the real choice lives. You can rebuild the same structure and keep bleeding every time someone walks away. Or you can rebuild on something solid, something that doesn't rise or fall on another person's decision. Rejection doesn't break a man. It shows him what he built his identity on. And once that's clear, nothing is wasted. The moment becomes information. The pain becomes direction. And you walk forward quieter, steadier, and harder to shake, not because you stopped feeling, but because you finally stopped handing your center to anyone else.